Hey everyone, welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. I want to say thank you so much for all of you subscribers wanting to watch my videos. It means so much and feels really strange, but I'm happy that you're here. And I appreciate the feedback that people have given me, constructive feedback and some really wonderful comments. And one of the suggestions was more landscape. So today we are going to be doing a landscape, and it will be the one behind me. We'll be using only two colors today, making it simple, and I love simple. It's a bit moody, it's a bit dark and rich in colors, which is what I prefer in my paintings. So that's what I try to bring to all of my landscapes. So let me know in the comments below if you liked this video. If you'd like to see more, let me know, and let's get started. Alright, so I'm using Arches cold press watercolor paper, like I always use for landscapes. Great for holding a lot of water. I have it taped down on, it's actually a cutting board, so I need to get something a little bit better, but that's what I'm using for now. And of course I have my water and my paper towel and a spray bottle. And then I have some, this is the tape that I'm using. This is painter's tape, but any tape will do. Brushes I'll be using, this is the Heritage brush size 12, and then a Neptune flat brush. I'll be using that to lay down a bunch of water. And then I have two of these depending on which one I want. They're long rounds in a size 4 and a size 6, and those are by Princeton Velvet Touch. The colors I'm going to be using today are Prussian blue and Perylene green. Prussian blue will be used for my sky and the water, and then I'll be using Perylene green for the trees, and to darken it up I just will pull directly from the actual paint themselves and use less water. So two colors today, but you can get a lot of depth and a lot of vibrancy using two colors, and these are cool colors, so this is going to be a cool piece. Alright, so I'm taking that flat brush and I just soaked it in my water because I want to wet half the paper, and then I'm going to wet the other half of the paper, leaving a tiny amount of space that does not have water on it right in the center. So I'm doing that because I want to have the skyline, be, not the skyline, what is it called? I want it to separate the land from the water. Here I added too much water, so just soaking that up a little bit and moving it around. And then I'll gradually add more darker paint. Now the top part of this paper is going to be the same from left to right. And then the bottom part of the paper, I'm going to be pulling that blue again, but this time I'm going to add a bit more darker color on the left side, pulling it to the right, but not having it go all the way across. I want to give the illusion of some streaks in the water and some depth in the water, so that was what I was trying to achieve here. Kind of bring the brush down a little bit. If you feel like there's too much paint where the water could be, you saw that I was pulling it away. That is going to lift the paint off the paper and bring it back the other way. So that's another way you can do it. Switching to my round here, size 12, and adding a bit more darker shade of the blue. I'm playing around here with different strokes. You can do as you like. And you can see that I'm pulling that paint that's on top of the tape away because I don't want that paint to seep back into the painting. It will give a bloom effect, and I'm just not wanting that today. Alright, here's where you see me adding a darker shade than that first lightest layer. I'm bringing it a little over on the right hand side, but I'm mainly going to concentrate on that left hand side because my vision is that there is a light source in the right hand, or in the center right side of the painting, and it's going to give some sunlight or highlight the right side of the page and then slowly down the center, even though I don't have a sun here. I just added a bit more water to my brush and tapped it on my paper towel to help spread and blend that blue, just so it looks a bit more natural. I don't want it to be dark all the way up to that white line because then I'm going to add my my land of trees. And remember, watercolor, you work light to dark, so lighter is always safer, especially when you want to add more things to your painting. I decided to spray my paper here, and you can see all of the little spots and the cool texture it gives. I really love doing this, and the perfect time to do it if you want this kind of effect is when it slowly starts to dry. If you do it when it's already too wet, nothing's going to happen, but if you have it slightly dry and then you use the spray bottle, it's going to pull the paint away, and you can see it separated in really interesting ways, almost giving the illusion of wispy clouds and some stars. And it went into the water as well. That could be reflection, that could be, well, whatever it could be, but it's cool and I like it, so I was quite happy with it. I did end up adding a bit more paint at the bottom because I wanted it to be quite dark, but I didn't want to lose all of the texture that I got from the spray bottle. I took that Perylene green now, and I took quite a dark concentrated amount of it, but with a lot of water on my brush still, and you can see that I am just blobbing in paint to just form the shape that I want. And you'll see me use the up and down motion all the time. This really helps me see where the height of the trees I want to be. I mixed a little bit of the blue in there as well, just to give it more of a blend with the other blue. And you can see that I'm also just tapping in some of the paint and just letting it spread naturally how it's going to. And this is a really great technique to do if you want to get depth, because you're going to get light and dark, and to me it gives the illusion of having space between a dense forest, which is what this is going to end up being, is a very dense forest. So I will continue to draw these lines up and down, and then I'll continue to drop in some paint while it's still wet for the entire top part. So I'm adding a bit more color there because it was a bit too light for me on that right hand side. So I added a bit more, and I think the right side is quite cool with the texture. So I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out so far. But these trees are way too light for me. I've said it before, but I absolutely love dark trees. But before I move on to making them darker, I need to do the other side and let the other ones dry a little bit. I'm drawing a line again like I did before, but I am leaving some white space because I do want to emphasize that there is a reflection there. And again, I am just doing the up and down strokes, and then I will kind of fill in because I felt like it was taking me too long. So you'll see me change my my technique there. So, and then I am also being quite careful to not touch that white space because I really do want to save it. And I'm also keeping in mind the height of the trees, the top trees, so it can look as realistic as possible, even though this is not necessarily a realistic painting. I like cartoonish paintings, and I like realistic paintings, and I like somewhere in between. And you might hear my neighbors outside. There are a couple kids in the block, and they are screaming because it's Sunday and they are playing ball. So I can't do anything about that. I was going to speed the footage up, but I figured that I would leave it at real time, just so for anyone who's new can see how long or short a painting can take. So let me know in the comments below, do you prefer real-time videos, or do you like it when the footage is sped up, or when it cuts to the next the next thing in the painting? Let me know in the comments below what you prefer to see, especially when it comes to tutorials like these. You can see that I sprayed it again, and it separated a little bit of that green down there, which I think is beautiful in water. And then I took some more darker, some more stronger pigment, and now I am doing the same exact technique, which I will continue to do for the rest of the painting. So I will stop chatting at this point and let you guys enjoy the video. And I know that everyone has been telling me that they enjoy the soothing nature sounds. So let me know, do you like this combination of nature sounds, or would you like some jazz music in the background or some classical? Let me know. You can see that when I sprayed the water that it separated a little bit of that green, and I love that because of that, the illusion that it gives of space, or maybe there's bushes, or whatever you'd find in a forest depending on where you are around the world. So I am now starting to put in the branches for the trees, and for these it's very messy because there are so many trees in this painting. But I am just making a bunch of lines on either side of the trunk and going upwards. So I want my branches to point up. Now I like that style of tree because those are the kind of trees that I see every day in my forest where I live. But there are many, many different ways to do trees, so I am going to have a video soon on all the different ways to paint a tree that I personally know, and maybe you can find one that you like and that you'll choose to paint. You'll also see me as I get to the very dense area of the base of the trees. I will just be making kind of flicking motions to emphasize that there could be limbs there. So the same technique I'm doing for the trunks that are sticking out, I end up doing on the lower parts of the tree, even though you can't quite see it. I like to take the time to do every single one of these trees because trees are my most favorite thing to paint. I absolutely love painting trees and forests, but I understand that for a lot of people it can be quite tedious. But I find it quite therapeutic, so it's just one of those things. So you can see me right there. I'm just making little flicking motions up with my brush. Alright, so I'm actually going to go ahead and work on the bottom part. It is way too light for my taste, so I am actually going to bring in some more darker, more concentrated is what I'm trying to say. Less water and more paint on my brush. And with this, I just decided to make a bunch of lines again, so you'll see a little bit of that first layer of light green shine through, but I did want to match the green on top a bit more because even in reflections in water, the colors are still quite dark, like like what the actual the land is too. So if that makes sense. But you see me just flicking away, and then I do end up changing my brush because this was taking way too long. And even though I like to paint trees, it you know, can get a little bit tedious. So I'm adding even more concentrated paint, and I'm also doing a little bit of a dry brush effect here, and you can see at the top of the trees it's kind of separating like dry brushing does, and I quite like that. I didn't do any of the little branches in here, but what I did do, and you'll see me right here, is I kind of do very gentle strokes across the tops of the branches to show movement of water, and it's a nice trick to do so you don't have to spend so much time making little branches, because I didn't really want to do that, but I think this is quite effective when it comes to water. I'll be honest, I am rather new to water, so painting water scenes. I mainly do misty forests, but this has been really wonderful to learn and you know, to get better at. So really it's just putting in the time and practicing as much as you can on the particular areas of art that you're not so good at. That's how you become really you know, really skilled. So I know that the 10 hours or the 10,000 hours of doing anything is important, but what really helps is those areas that you're uncomfortable with, spending a lot of time there and trying to focus your skills. And there's so many different ways to do water. This is just one way, and I'm quite happy with it. But the best part is, of course, taking that tape off. There's something so satisfying about a nice white border, which is really enjoyable. But I have to let you know that after I took the paint off and looked at it a little bit, it was not dark enough for my liking, because I love dark and moody art. So the top layer of trees, I decided that I was going to add more darker paint. Now the painting is dry at this point, so I am just adding in the most concentrated I can get. I don't have tube paint. I have paint that's been dried, so obviously a little bit of water has to go in there, but I am trying to make it as dark as I can, and I was quite happy with it by the end. Let me know what you think, what else, of course, that you want to see. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what I can do differently, what I can do better. This has been so much fun to do. So, and I'm in the early stages, of course, of this YouTube thing. But let me know, and I'm happy to see what I can do, and to see what you guys would like to see. But there we have it. I think it turned out pretty good. And I hope that you guys tackle this painting or something similar to it. This is a very famous type of landscape. So, you know, I'm sure you've seen this one before. Alright guys, I will see you next time, and thank you for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!